This is the OG Blackmagic Design 4.6K.
We are at DAI, DeSoto Arts Institute, and this is a film studio here in the greater Memphis area. We're actually in North Mississippi, but if you were to look at a map, you're basically in Memphis. And
we can look out the window and throw a rock right into Memphis.
Right. And this organization is amazing. They're an education institution, but they also are a working film studio, and y'all film all sorts of different projects, short films, commercials,
music videos,
all sorts of different things. And this is the owner and operator, Robb. Tell us a little bit about your background.
My background, I'm getting old, so I have chapters, right? So I started out in the civil engineering world, surveying and all of that. I leaned into computers really hard, became CAD manager, IT manager, architectural engineering world. 3D modeling was really exciting to me, but as I went further and further into the computer world, it became more and more creative. So I got into website design and graphic design and things like that, and photography. Had some nice clothing company photography contracts. Then I was invited to, hey, you want to work on some film stuff? And I was like, what do you need? It's like, you play guitar and you're a musician. Can you do audio production? I said, I've never done it, but yeah, I can do that, I'm sure. So I worked on short films, and working on short films, you know, you get this Batman hearing and you get to hear the director come over and go, okay, so your motivation is this, and then we're going to go in that scene where that's building to that, right? So I was like, hey, I'm a people watcher and I like people, so I think I could direct too. And I've always been a writer. I created my persona, Robb Rokk. I was going to be a heavy metal guitarist, and that didn't pan out. But I created Robb Rokk when I was in like 9th or 10th grade in high school, and wrote a story, wrote myself into it. So I've always been a writer. One of my high school teachers said, Robb, this is amazing. You will be a professional writer someday. And then you know what she did next? Nothing. No mentorship, no guidance. Hey, connect with this. Here's some books to read. Here's how you build a 3-act structure. Here's what
and that stayed with you.
Oh, it shaped me, because now, you know, I got into ministry through a church. I was involved with a church for 30 years here in South Haven, and I was a worship leader, and then I was a junior high pastor for 3.5 years. And then when they hired an ordained pastor, because I wasn't ordained, because I don't want to read all those books. Right? So then I started the Young Artist Ministry, we just called it YA. I'm a branding guy.
I love it.
So we had like 100 kids showing up every Monday night, 5:30 till 9 o'clock. We had 5 youth bands, girls ensemble, learning to sing and harmonize together. We had a human video team, and this was all leading me from the technical to the creative to the people. All of that was just stepping stones. And when I left that ministry, I was like, God, what am I going to do? I need young people, man. They will wear you out and they will energize you at the same time. And I want to minister to young people. I want to teach them life skills. I want to teach them the firm handshake and the look in the eye and stuff. And God just spoke very clearly to me. He said, you're passionate about filmmaking and storytelling. Use that. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I can build something that invites young people of the world in, not just church kids, but anybody. And now I have an influence in their lives, and it's kind of what we're doing here at DAI.
Right. Now, how many years have you had this facility?
Oh, they gave us the keys November 2017.
And how big is the studio, or the whole complex?
We are about, our 2 rooms are about 4,500 square feet roughly.
Okay.
And we have a theater here, and classroom theater, editing bays currently are in here, and the other room is podcast, studio spaces, flex spaces, kitchen, bathrooms, little recording studio and audio booth for ADR, film work, and things like that.
And plans to expand in the future as well.
Yeah, man, we really need to raise some money. Mississippi Arts Commission awarded us a $110,000 grant, but we're kind of missing the deadline to raise that money, because that's we got to raise 40% of that. So we need to raise $44,000. They offering the grant again for next season or year,
Right.
whatever that is. So we're going to reach out to them and see if we can get this thing rolling again. And
you also created a wonderful film festival here in the community. Tell us a little bit about the film
that's
festival.
right. So a few years ago, COVID kind of wrecked us, but it's an annual film festival. This November 7th and 8th, I believe, are the dates. It's all on our website and DeSotoFilmFestival.com, as well as DeSotoArtsInstitute.com. But the film festival is a family-friendly festival. This is our 4th year that we're doing it. We are looking for films from all over the world that are the highest quality. And in fact, we've had people come that are festival goers, and they are filmmakers and just love great films and all of that. We've had people come and go, "This is the best film festival I've ever been to." And I'm like, "Come on, you don't have to do that."
Right.
And they're like, "No, I don't think you understand. This is the best film festival I've ever been to." And I'm like, then tell me why. We were told that the films are the highest quality films, story, character, production. Sometimes, I'll let production slide on something we choose if it's got a great story, but we've had stories from Iran. We've had films from sports surf ministries from California Cinefilm that just, man, I said, that's going in this film festival. It'll melt your heart to see what God's doing around the world. And people said it's the greatest thing because it's just great film, great quality films. And we're not overtly faith-based in everything that we're doing, because
Right.
we want to reach the widest audience possible, and that's the world.
And you give an outlet for local creative artists to show off their work.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've made some lifelong friends. Marty King Young is coming June 7th for a workshop, writing workshop. She started out writing a film called The Adventures of Wonder Boy. She's got an adult autistic son, and he wants to act and make films. So she said, let's make a film. And they wrote something. They hired a professional graphics VFX guy to do Wonder Boy zipping off into space and showing up at the right time. And we became great friends. She came to the first festival. She was the only filmmaker to come. Got to know her, and now we're great friends.
All right, well, we're going to take you on a tour of this amazing facility.
All right, so what we have here is it's our theater and our classroom, and currently our editing stations. We can seat about 25, 30 people right here right now. We've got cozy couches. We've got edit bay, edit bay, edit bay, edit bay. And 16-foot movie screen, and we're having a classic film night this Friday, so we're doing some fun things. We're Mac driven here. I was a PC guy. I was an IT manager, networking guy, PCs my whole life. But once I discovered Mac through starting doing music videos, I was blown away how simple the interface is, but I missed the power behind the scenes, the programming and all that kind of stuff. And then a friend of mine said, no, you need to look at Automator. So I discovered the power in a Mac. And I tell you what, I love Mac because I can buy it. It costs me a little bit more money on the front end, but it'll last me 8 years, where a PC in 2 or 3 years, you're like screaming at it and throwing it in a dumpster. Well, this is where I sit day to day. So I recently upgraded to the Mac M3 Ultra, and that is a beast. At first, it didn't seem like it was that much faster until I rendered a video. Like a 20-minute video might take 12, 15 minutes to render out. Now a 20-minute video, I literally render out in like 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and that's just unreal. I keep a mic and headphones here, and I've got some nice...
It's better than a headphone amp.
A little bit better.
You've got the Looper deck, or the Loop, what is it?
It's the Loopdeck.
Loopdeck.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this thing.
That's pretty cool. It's very programmable. You can download all different profiles for everything from DaVinci Resolve to Premiere Pro to Photoshop or whatever. And it's a love-hate relationship because they update it enough, and then I have to go back in and tweak a couple things. But it's really powerful. I don't understand why Premiere Pro, like Ripple Edit, why that's not a shortcut. I don't know why I can't add shortcuts, but I put them on that. So sometimes when I'm doing operations, I'm not even looking. I'm just hitting that button, click, hit, click, click, and just knock out some things. I've got a Drobo 5D USB-C connected back there with about 48 terabytes with projects for all over the years, and then archive drives go into another mount over here, and you see what happens over time. You end up with archive data like you wouldn't believe.
Yep.
This is a couple weeks old. I used Grok to do some research and told it what I was doing, what I wanted. I didn't care about super fast refresh rates. I wanted fairly accurate color. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is kind of my reference monitor and I keep my picture up top. But I wanted something wide, and I had two of these small 34 inches, but you end up with that seam there and you can't center things up, and it's maddening. So I got this one and this Chinese model Innocen. And so far, I absolutely love it. You know, orange is our logo color, and I've always loved orange. I actually used to design logos, and I always start with orange. And on the wall, we have pictures of people that have been in our lives over the last 8 years since we started this. And I started getting notes from clients and stuff, so I thought I need to hang on to these. And I filmed with George Klein and Jerry Lawler years ago, and I said, dude, I don't want to overstep here, but can we get a picture with me wearing a crown? He said, absolutely. He's the nicest guy, man. And if you don't know this, he's an amazing artist. That's where his heart is. Yeah, and I'll flip a light on, but don't pay too much attention. This is our workroom, and it stays junky because I'm always grinding a piece of steel to make something or cutting some wood, but it's a workroom. And this is kind of junky, but we keep a lot of things in here. This is kind of our grip equipment. We've got 4x4 floppies and 24x36 things in there, and green and blue boards as we need to, and big heavy duty reflectors and flags. These are the basics. These are things that you don't know you need until you get them, and then you start solving problems. Yep. And so if you're gonna make some films, don't go crazy spending money on certain things, but things like hardware, an Apple box is always an Apple box. Absolutely. They haven't changed in 100 years, I don't think. And of course, we got battery charging, and we got light kits, battery charging, lights, tons of stuff there. It's a mess. This is my camera shelf this is actually my junk shelf that no one is allowed to touch anything on here, because literally the other day I was looking for a screw and I came in here and went, yep, there it is. And I promise you I had not touched that in 4 years. And we keep makeup and radios and different things over there. So this is the back side of this little set, but we put a fan blowing leaves to create some interest on the wall on the window for one of our camera shots. And we had two people sitting here having a conversation about their new app called Sock Swap. So this is a client set, but we doubled up and used it. She does a master class here. And beautiful. And when we build out the set, when you're standing in it, sometimes students are like, I don't understand. That's so empty over there and over there. It's like, no, you have to look through the camera's eye. And I tell students all the time, you see things 185-degree vision, but when we're filming, it's going to get down. That's why guys walk around doing that goofy thing. I used to think that was so stupid. Now it's like, oh yeah, okay. But yeah, you have to look through the camera lens to go, oh, I can't even see that corner. Yeah, that's just stick-on wallpaper. And we do things too. I'm teaching the students how to do things professionally. We had an actor sitting in that chair, and he had on lighter pants. So without this net here, it was like his pants were just like glowing. So we put this net here with that feathery edge, cut him off at the waist, and it lights him from here up, and his pants go back to looking normal. Yeah, and some of this is some leaf filter diffusion. Yep. I don't know what number this is. Some of this, it's not terribly expensive, but for someone starting out in high school, don't go buy this. Go to Walmart and get a few different shower curtains of different thicknesses. Exactly. Just understand how hot your light might get.
All right, Rob, everybody watching the video is probably going to want to know about your cameras. So tell us about this camera. Is this your main camera that you use?
Yeah, this is the OG Blackmagic Design 4.6K. I bought it in 2016. I did a FedEx Earth Day spot in 2016 and made a little bit of money, so I upped my gear. And this was a purchase. Man, I didn't have the heart to spend $20,000 or $30,000 or the wallet to do that back then. And this is just absolutely unreal. I paired it with the Sigma Art Lens 16 to 35 or 18 to 35. You can buy the 2-lens kit, which is cinema housed. So it's a big barrel, and you can buy the kit for like $9,000. I haven't looked in the last couple of years, but it was $9,000 in a case. You can buy this lens for $900. So for $1,800, you get the 35 to 50 to 100, and then buy you a $30 case at Harbor Freight or something like that, and take care of it. But it pretty much lives on this camera, because 18 to 35 is great for film. Every once in a while, if we're doing some video production, a dance recital or something like that, we'll use the longer lenses or rent or borrow some longer lenses. Man, get a good monitor. I hate small monitors. These little, I don't even know what this is. Is that a 5-inch even? Getting these 9-inch monitors is it just saves your eyes. And with this, you might have room for 1 or 2 people to look at, but depending on how we mount this, if it's on the side or spun around here, you could get 3 or 4 people looking at that in a pinch. But we also send a signal, SDI in the back and SDI in the front, and the front is for that one. The main SDI goes out through the Hollyland, which, man, we've never had any trouble. We got 2 transmitters, 2 receivers. Latency's never been an issue for us. And we send that over here to 2 receivers. So if someone is, I don't know if this is connected up, if someone is running focus, AC is on focus, this battery is dead. Okay.
But they can use this remote.
Yeah, but they will sit here and they'll have this 15-inch OC, which these monitors are cheap and they're really nice. I use a 21-inch over at the church, and it's like, man, now I need a 21-inch. Yeah. So they're fantastic. And the picture is, when I first saw it, it brings a softness, a soft characteristic to it. And I thought maybe I'm not good, but I know some real cinematographers, and they're buying them too, because they're just a fantastic image. And they said the same thing, it's soft and pleasing, and you're seeing the detail and everything that you need. We keep this where it'll roll around. I keep that bottom one so we can just swing it. If talent goes, because we do commercial shoots. I have a lady that's doing a master class, and every once in a while she'll say, "Is my hair flying out?" And I'll just spin that around. She'll go,
so she can see
"Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow." And she always says, "They look so good on camera."
And then also you swapped out the card setup on this camera.
Yeah, when you get this in 2016 and you want to buy CF Express cards, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. So this was, I don't know, $400 to $600 somewhere in there from Cinedisc, and you plug the cards in and they're cabled around to this, and you mount that. And then I had some short cables on a job, and I didn't have a chance to get them to replace this LAN part, but that should be mounted up high. But I got just enough to get it in there, and it still works.
Pop the hard drives in it, and you
pop hard drives
good
in.
to go, man.
We use SSDs. They're like candy around here because they're so cheap, and we just keep buying bigger ones. We started out 256 and then 500, 525. Now we're at 1 and 2 terabyte. So my brother-in-law is a legit VFX supervisor in Hollywood. He's working on Apple Dark Matter season 2 right now. He's credits in everything from Titanic to the Flintstones to Volcano and things like that. He was here when I was editing Truth Lies Upstream, and I was in the color grading, and he looked at that and he goes, he's sitting next to me on the computer. He's like, "So you rented an Arri Alexa for this?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, that's an Alexa sensor." And I was like, "How can you tell that?" He goes, "I've been doing this long enough. I can tell what kind of camera this was shot with, and can get pretty close to the lenses." And I said, "Dude, I've got an URSA." He said, "The URSA did not make that picture." I said, "John, the URSA made this picture. I would not have rented an Arri." Yeah, that's the thing. When John was pushing about this sensor being an Arri Alexa looking identical to it, I started doing some research, and there were people online that thought that maybe this sensor is made in the same factory, the same plant in China as the Arri sensors. And I challenged Grok the other day to tell me, are they? And they couldn't find any conclusive evidence, but you wouldn't expect to find that to be, yeah. So this is our camera cart, and look, we do things cheap, right? I don't want to spend $2,000 on a big cart at this point in time, so we buy a Rubbermaid cart. And I've been on big pro sets too, where they just add bigger wheels and put plywood underneath to reinforce that so you can roll it through grass and stuff like that. But we have a lens kit, a follow focus. We try to get the kids with slates, wireless video, even an AC bag. You know, everything from your scissors and your pens and your dust cleaner, extra things like that that an AC needs to have. If we need to adjust something and we don't have the tools, you know, we slate, and I always wonder why that's colored there. And now I understand why, because that was used a lot for the color checker. And this is a tool that some things you don't want to spend a lot of money on. You need to spend money on this because it's scientifically calibrated. This is about $120 a couple years ago to buy that. So you can use it for focus, for exposure. This lets you set your blacks if you're using two cameras, or if you're using one camera and you can't control the lighting, you're under some kind of weird lighting, then you come over 10 feet away, throw that color checker in there, and then you can make them match so closely no one would ever notice. But you can get your exposure, your mid-grays, your white balance, calibrate your blacks.
That's such a cool tool.
And I see fingerprints on this, and that's a no-no. And some of these are matte too, so that they don't cast reflection. So that's a pretty cool tool, and I highly recommend that because audio, get your audio right. These little things are fantastic. And I think they're just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until you can hide them. And anytime we have a lav or a belt pack on somebody, we put gaff tape over lights so it doesn't shine through a pocket. We've had that problem. And then, you know, I've got the 1835 Sigma, but I bought the Rokinon kit prime lenses, and these things, these lenses, maybe $3,000 worth of lenses in here, $600 to $800 for these. That sounds expensive, but in the lens world, we did a Chevy commercial and used $30,000 and $40,000 Cook lenses, and I've rented Angenu lenses and things like that. These things right here, they're great. They're great. Yeah, and over here we have a couple Blackmagic 6Ks. We just did a recital, and we took 3 of the Blackmagic 6Ks, different lenses. This is a little junky lens. But we ran 2 cameras and we had a third as a backup because these are little computers and they every once in a while get a little stupid. And Mark, I've never been a fan of some of the, I guess it's newer and field world, but there was a sale, $200 with 2 batteries, all the cables. I bought one, I fired it up on one of these, and I was like, I got to get another one. I hope the sale's still on. So I bought 2 of these for about $450. And I can't wait till they have an SDI one because I might buy one to put on a new Pixis. This is our to-go bag. Everything that has to do with the Blackmagic 6Ks. We've got battery plates that'll fit on a tripod. We label things a lot. Every D-tap to Limo electrical to Israeli arms.
Everything you might need.
Battery mounts. Yeah, this is our... Like, let's get out of here where we did a podcast. We went to the zoo. It's like, okay, everything should be in this except batteries and media. I built a wall that has a 3D art thing over there. So when you put a red light and a blue light or something from either side, that gets very interesting. So we could swing a camera here, clear that out, and we have a background. We have a background over here if we can move tables out, and we've done that. And then this was actually part of a bench that went outside the church dumpster. So I grabbed that and broke it apart, drilled holes. That's a pretty nice piece. So if we want to stand here and talk, we can do that. So, and we are hard mounting as much lighting as we can. So we have lights in the roof, backlights up here. Some things are starting to live in certain places, and it's getting there. We had black all the way around. I'll have to show you that video. It's a local band called East of Eden. But yeah, we pulled that around, and the curtain track allows us to pull this around, and we can put you can see how smooth it gets when you just put some tension on it. So we'll do that from both sides. And then we have a blue screen, green screen, black screen, whatever we want to do. And sometimes Sometimes if we're filming in another set, we'll stretch these out just to help knock down some verb. This was one of our podcast sets that we had, and we're repurposing it now and trying to figure out exactly how we're going to use it. I think we may paint this red or white and make it look like plaster came off of it or something. Then we'll paint that black, and no one will ever think of things like that. That's one of the things I love about filmmaking.
Right.
And we really try to come up with different textures here. You know, we got the paneled wall, we got a brown wall with a window, we have faux brick. It's a little bit messy at the moment because we've been moving some things around. I use Logic.
Yep.
Yeah, Logic is amazing. You know, I started out on GarageBand on my iPad and laptop and stuff, and then someone told me, man, if you're doing some cool stuff, you're using Logic. I was like, no, GarageBand. They go, oh, buy Logic. So I did, and I was like, okay, this is a lot more complicated. And then I figured it out. I was like, this is amazing. I've done some soundscapes and put them on our DeSoto Arts Institute.com website so you can hear some of that. Yeah, that Hot Rod DeVille, I bought that in 2000, and it's really weird. Some people don't like them, and now over the last couple years, people are rediscovering them. Right. And it's like, that's 4 10-inch speakers. That sound will knock you on the floor, man. It's just incredible. Yeah, we have a voiceover artist come in here. You know, I've done a ton of FedEx work over the years and some other big companies, but we'll have voiceover artists come in here and record locally. And I love that, instead of spending money out somewhere else. We bought an electronic drum kit. My grandkids play it probably more than anybody. And one of our students said he played drums. And I come over here one day and I was like, can you play 7/8 timing? He goes, let me see. Yeah, I got it. I mean, he studied it and knows his stuff, and it's like you never know who's going to know what. And we rent the studio and the computer out over here for ADR, for looping. Someone will shoot a short film and come in here and have to recapture lines and clean up noise and things like that, so they'll use this.
All right, for anyone who might be interested, let me ask you this. In making or starting to make their own films, what are a few pieces of advice that you would tell them? First of all, I know you're going to say they don't have to have fancy equipment.
No.
We're shooting this with an iPhone today.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Yeah, we all have cameras in our pockets now, and use them. Man, please use them. You can learn to tell a story and to tell it creatively and to use different camera angles. And, you know, I teach this in our Film School 101 program. We're all trained. We know what looks good and what is a little off. And I use a phrase, does it add up? You know, is your character a real person, and does it add up that they're in this situation? And sometimes it doesn't add up for a minute, but that's okay story-wise. But you can learn you have been trained how to get camera angles and things like that. We shot something the other night, and our camera person wanted to keep shooting from overhead, and I'm a old school still photographer. It's like you get down below the subject.
Right.
Don't want to see the ceiling. Floors are dirty. We don't want to see floors. And you want to put your talent in a little bit more powerful, interesting position with that perspective from down below. But figuring out camera angles, lighting. We picked a window back over here to give us a little bit of light. That's just smart. Shower curtains. You know, some of my first diffusion panels were shower curtains. And you can go to Walmart and buy bed sheets. I've used bed sheets, shower curtains, and they're in different thickness and translucency, transparency, so you can get light to glow up, and you want the biggest, softest light that you can get. And that's all right here. It's cheap.
Absolutely. And story is king. We've talked about that many times. Yeah. Write a great, compelling story.
Right.
The most classic films that we still watch today from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s were all really good. They weren't glitzy, glamorous productions.
No car.
They were great stories.
No explosions. Most of the time in some of the old movies like Vertigo and Rear Window and things like that, it's understanding humanity, the conflict that we have within, the conflict we have with others. How do you capitalize on that in a story, and how do you see some character go from they're just minding their own business and something happens and now they're faced with dealing with things.
Now, if someone's interested in taking classes here at DAI, tell them what they need to do.
So we have a couple programs here. We have Film School 101, which is a paid program. It's a Tuesday night, 6 to 8:30. Tuesday nights for about 10 months.
Okay.
That's a paid program, and we start with storytelling.
I love it.
And we teach everything, every aspect of filmmaking that we can cram in, and we get technical on some things because each class, sometimes we have 2 or 3 people that I want to understand the lens and how this works and why depth of field and stuff like that, instead of just knowing there's a shallow depth of field or deep focus. We'll get into the nuts and bolts, and we kind of think of that as a forensic clinical level, right?
Sure.
But we will teach as many things as we can, and some classes want something different, but we start with storytelling, proper screenplay, format. We have another program on Thursday nights called Film Factory, 6 to 8:30, and typically that's our graduates from previous years. We're in our third year with film school, so when they graduate, they were like, what's next? Well, we weren't sure we were going to do a second year program, but we created Film Factory, and that is where people who know a little bit about production, and maybe they're actors even, they can show up and we write things and we shoot things constantly. We shot something last night, and putting that together Thursday night at Film Factory, and in addition to some other things that we're doing. We kind of split up sometimes in 2 or 3 groups, and we write, we pre-produce, because I insist that everything, you can't come to me and go, hey Rob, I have this idea and I want to film it next week. It's like, no, I haven't seen a beat sheet, I haven't seen anything on paper. Do your homework, because that's the way the world works. There's a lot of pre-production that goes on.
So all of those things y'all talk through on those
and
nights.
We cast on those nights, and we've got a nice way to cast online, so we don't, just to minimize time involved and stuff. And we're building relationships with some local actors. We know a lot of people, and some of them will come down. I'll say, hey, just come down for a couple weeks and we'll put together something. And the cool thing about doing Film Factory with outside actors is it's sometimes hard to direct your friends.
Thank you so very much. If you're interested in becoming a part of DAI, or taking the courses, or filming some local films with Rob, then you can certainly find the links below. You can go to their website, which is
DeSoto Arts Institute.com.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.